screen. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me. And just a little bit about myself. I work at Cellusys. I've been there since 2017, so yeah, 5 years now. So prior to that, I worked as a telecom training, signaling training contractor. I've developed a lot of courses with SS7. I worked for Telecom Technologies, which before that was Bell Communications Research, and that was back in the 1990s. I was out actually at Bellcore also, Bell Communications Research in the 1980s with this brand new protocol called SS7. So I did some initial work in SS7 back in the mid 1980s. So prior to that, I did technical support at a company called Ameritech, which was part of the at that time part of the Bell system, and I did some central office maintenance way back in Illinois Bell Telephone. I've climbed telephone poles in a much younger and much earlier life, a long time ago. I even installed telephones, which I probably just also did. Prior to that, spent 4 years in the Navy, so kind of a varied background. I'm located here in the United States. If you know where Chicago is located, it's kind of in the middle of the United States, maybe a little bit towards the east and then kind of far north. It's winter time here, so like we said earlier, it's a little warmer now. It's about 2 or 3 degrees outside. This past weekend, it was down to 11, 12, 13 below zero Celsius. So it was a little bit winter. We knew winter was here. So a little bit about the class. Let me put up another slide here. And just kind of see if I can find this here. And this is what we're going to be looking at probably starting on Friday now. And then we have a 2-week break. Like Raphael said, we're going to meet on Wednesdays and on Fridays, and it'll be from 17:30 to roughly 1800, maybe a few minutes after 1800. So it only gives us about a half hour at a time. So it's important to be here so we can start at 17:30 hours. Sometimes it might be a little difficult. There's traffic, there's other situations, but again, try and be here as close to 17:30 as possible, and we'll finish up around 1800. This will go on. We'll meet this week on today, just as an overview, and then on Friday this week, and then we're going to take a couple of weeks off. I understand for some breaks. Now in January we'll pick this up again. I've got to make a trip to training class to Vietnam in the end of January, but I think I can still. With the time zone, I was looking at the time zone changes. I think I can still do that during the day in Hanoi or in Ho Chi Minh City and still do the training here. So that should be okay. We're going to talk about the telecom fundamentals. Now, we won't get into any real deep areas, but there are some certain areas that I would like to go over. First of all, we'll look at the industry overview. And before that, we'll take a look at just some fundamentals, just some very, very basic radio fundamentals, because mobile telephony does rely obviously on radio. So we'll take a look at some fundamentals, take a look at some early concepts also, cellular, the concept of cellular, the concept of reusing frequencies. And then we're not going to go real much into the history, but just enough so we can understand what's going on today. So we'll do an industry overview also. Who are some of the key players in the industry? Who writes the specifications? How is voice delivered? How is signaling delivered? How is short message services, SMS, when you text a short message, how is that actually accomplished? So we'll take a look at the industry as a whole. What's a network operator? What's a virtual operator? What's a virtual enabler? What's a virtual aggregator? The whole industry, like a lot of industries, has a lot of acronyms. I will try my best not to over acronym you. Now, another thing, Raphael mentioned questions. Please, please, please ask questions. I know sometimes you're hesitant to do that. On my screen over here, I don't have it up today, but I'm going to, when we're doing our training, I'm going to have my chat window open. If you're a little hesitant to ask a question, put it in the chat. But I do want to encourage questions because sometimes I might say something. And if you're hesitant, you're thinking, "Gee, what did Steve say? He said STP. What is an STP?" By the time you're doing that, I'm 5 sentences ahead of you. And you'll get lost very quickly. So we're going to try and go at a very good speed, but we're not going to race through this. And I'm going to define acronyms, but there are a lot of them. But we'll do this in a very logical progression. So after we can look at some basics, we'll take a look at this part right here, the industry overview. I want to look at the industry itself. Then I want to look at right between these two. I want to look at identities. In the mobile environment, you have a lot of different identities. You have secret identities. You have identities that are required to page you, to bill you, to find you. You have identities so your family and friends can call you. You have identities so your family and friends can send you a text message. And all these identities, it's important to at least understand what these are. What are the different numbers that are used in mobile telephony? Then we'll go into the architecture. Now, in the architecture, we want to focus on what's out there today. What are these different generations? It used to be a first generation. Then there was a second generation system, then a third generation system, then a fourth generation, and currently going into a fifth generation. What does all that mean? How does all this work, or what are all the piece parts to these different generations? What's the advantage to these different generations? How do they talk to each other? How do they signal each other? Regardless of the generation, there's still certain functions that have to happen. You still need to update your location. The system needs to know where you're at. It still needs to authenticate you. Are you really who you say you are when you access the network? It still needs to find you. It still needs to deliver a short message to you. It still needs to find you if I pick up the phone and want to call you. So there's a lot of things that have to happen regardless of whether it's a second, third, fourth, or fifth generation. So we'll take a look at the architecture. We'll just start with just a historical look at the first generation and then go into second, third, fourth, and then currently in the fifth generation. So between the architecture and what's going on there, the different generations and what are the different signaling methods, how do they talk to each other, what are all your identities, and an overview of the industry itself, that should make for a good 2 or 3 months of a half hour for twice a week. That should make for a good time here together. And we'll start the actual instruction on Friday, at this time on Friday. And we'll start with mobile telecom basics. We'll take a look at identities. We'll look at the generations, what motivated these companies, why do they put in, why do they change, what role did data play in this, how is data delivered, how is voice delivered, and then the real lifeblood of a telecom network is how does it talk to each other? What are these signaling protocols? What is SS7? What is diameter? What is GTP? What is SIP? What are all of these protocols that make this happen? So that's our goal. That's what we're going to do for the next couple of months. We'll have next week, I believe, Raphael, we're going to have a Christmas break, correct? For the Christmas and New Year's for the next 2 weeks.
Yes. So from 22nd to 5th, around 5th, there's going to be a break for us, okay? So this is the only week we'll be meeting this year, and then we'll continue from the next year. Okay, so
we will meet this Friday. We will meet this Friday.
Yes.
We're going to start off this Friday
Yes.
on this lesson, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Friday, we'll take a look at the first one on the material, which is the mobile telecom basics. Okay, so Steve is going to send us. We have the material that we'll be following. Okay, I'll send it in the group, and then I expect everyone to go and then take a look at it. Okay. Delve into it so that you list out your questions, some loopholes that you have on it, so that we address them in class. Okay, this is actually scholarship based, it's free, so you have to make your time worthwhile. Okay, so I advise everyone, any question you have, we'll support you over here, And if you don't understand anything, you can see me, or you can write to Steve's email. I'll send his email to the group as well, so that we can have some assistance. And I believe everything is clear so far. Give me a thumbs up if.
And you do have the material that you can give them the PDF copy, correct, Raphael?
Correct. Yes. Yes. So
Okay,
I'm going to send it in a group, so that we can benefit from
okay,
it.
good.
Yes.
Looking forward to this, and
Yes.
yeah,
We'll
let
see.
me. I'm gonna take this off here, and I'm going to stop the sharing, and I'm gonna put all of you back on the screen in front of me. There, now we can.
Good.
Like I said,
Okay.
when I'm instructing, I like the two screens, so I put this main screen over onto my right, but I like to look straight ahead. My camera is straight ahead. That way I'm not, otherwise you see my left, my cheek, and you don't want to see that. You want to see me head on. So
Good. Kindly open, when we are joining session, please open your feed, okay? For various reasons, please open your feed so that we can see you as well. Good. Good.
yeah, unless you have problems with your internet, if you're having some problems with sometimes video takes up a lot of bandwidth. So if you're having bandwidth problems, that's okay. But otherwise, I'll keep my video on. Generally, the internet here, I'm kind of out in the country, but generally the internet's been pretty good here. So I don't have a lot of. It's just my wife and I, so we don't have a lot of people using up the internet while I'm on here. So should be okay.
Yes, okay. So this brings us to the end of today's first telecom session. Okay. If you have any question, please let me know. If not, we are going to end here. Steve, I believe you are good with that.
Okay, and we'll see you 11:30
Friday.
hours this coming Friday, and look forward to it. So, and look over the material if you have any questions. Yeah, we'll just start at the very, very beginning. Okay.